born in what is known today as the occupied Palestine, so near Jerusalem, 17 miles from the city of Jerusalem to be exact. I lived there until I was 17. I graduated from high school, from one of the high schools in the old city of Jerusalem in 1981. And through some friends of my dad who are from South Dakota, they're American Catholic nuns actually, who used to go to the Holy Land on tours, and my dad was involved in the tourism industry, so they became good friends. And through that connection, I have come to know about South Dakota, and there was an educational opportunity there, so I came there and studied at the college where one of the Catholic nuns taught philosophy. She was a doctor of philosophy at that school, and I spent 1 year there. Then I transferred to engineering school in Rapid City, South Dakota, and I finished my bachelor's in electrical engineering and went on immediately to get my master's in electrical engineering. And when I graduated in 1990, I had a job opportunity in Salt Lake City, Utah, with, at the time, Tandy Electronics, who owned Radio Shacks, and they were involved in making their own computers and other consumer electronics at that time. And that was basically my first job after college in engineering. And I worked there 4 years until they shut the plant down when all of the outsourcing happened, and a lot of the businesses moved their manufacturing operations to China. So that was my first exposure to, somebody in the U.S. losing their job because it was sent overseas. First came, I stayed 5 years before I had a chance to go back home again. And through the 5 years, I would say I always felt like I want to go home. And, I felt homesick. But then at the end of the 5 years, when I finished my bachelor's degree and I went back, a reverse cultural shock happened that was worse than the cultural shock I endured when I first came here. And things weren't the way I wanted them. It's not as easy to live over there. It's not as easy to get a job. It's not as easy to finance a car. It's not as easy to even get a phone line to your house. You just, like I said, you've become spoiled by the conveniences of life over here and the living standard that you don't want to go back. Once I got used to life here and became spoiled by the conveniences and freedoms and the good living standard, it became increasingly difficult for me to think about moving there permanently. There have been many times where mom said, "I'm glad that you're not at home," especially when there is a lot of political strife or violence that erupts every now and then. And I'm sure you see it on the media, because that's the only time you see things about the Middle East, is when there is violence. There have been few situations at school where some kids were ignorant to my children. Our reply to our kids when they complain about that, it's like, well, not everybody in the world is going to be like you, and not everybody in the world is going to agree with you. You always have to show them that we are loving and compassionate, and we are not who some media outlets try to portray us to be. But there are certain traditions that we keep at home. We teach them the Arabic language. We teach them our religious beliefs. And we practice our religion with them, and of course without forcing anything on anybody, because that's not how it works. So yeah, I still listen to Middle East music, and we cook mostly Middle Eastern food at home. But kids, they want pizza and they want burger and the traditional American stuff. So we do that too.
Sure.
I have assimilated very much in mainstream, but there are certain cultures and traditions that I hold on to and I value, and I try to take the best of both worlds. So what I view is good, I follow it. If I view it as it doesn't benefit me or the community I live in, I have abandoned it. So as far as getting integrated, I think I'm as integrated as they come. So I have accomplished everything I have set to accomplish, and maybe even in some cases I have exceeded my own expectations. So I can't complain about the the chances and the opportunities that I have gotten, and I think the system as a whole, to look at the big picture, the Constitution guarantees me, rights and whatnot, and it opened many, many doors for me because of that. Whereas I believe if I was in some other country, I may not get the same opportunity.
Okay.
Nowhere near. Without, to climb up the ladder in some third world countries, you have to know somebody who knows somebody to get you where you want to get. Whereas here, I only have to flash my experience and my education, and I can get a good opportunity.